team, and that's for real. Oh, you said something. When they kick off, he gon' kneel. I don't wanna hear none if it ain't about the Bills. We'll be running out the tunnel, better stay up on your heels. We might leave your ankles on the field, put you on the rail. How you feel? Feel the watch the sweep just like a broom. Hail Mary, and put his GM in a tomb. Make some room, call it timeout, cause they not ready. Think they feeling all the pressure, cause they know I apply it heavy. Try to cover one-on-one. My cuss gon' be too deadly. Have him watching all that film while he's snuggling on his teddy. Man, who let me step up in the game with a mindset of making sure I'm heard? No point intended, it ain't time yet. When it is, I bet you know. Don't fix your legs to come around me if you acting all scary in the snow. Oh, you said something. Tell your homie better chill. He don't ride how we ride for our team, and that's for real. Oh, you said something. When they kick off, he gon' kneel. I don't wanna hear none if it ain't about them Bills. Oh, you said something. Tell your homie better chill. He don't ride how we ride for our team, and that's for real. Oh, you said something. When they kick off, he gon' kneel. I don't wanna hear none if it ain't about them Bills. Make sure your helmet on tight and your mouthpieces in. Make sure your team get right before they put you on the bench.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bills World. I'm Justice, and of course, as always, I'm here with the Legend of Two Games, no Pee-wee. Coach Mookie Hawkins in the building. What's going on, Coach?
What's good, Justice? Football is finally here.
Mm-hmm.
And man, preseason is officially over. It's time to get to this 53-man roster.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Big season ahead from the Bills. A lot of people counting us out this season, but hey, we got a good squad, and we're going to see who we project to be on the final roster to see who will be competing for.
We got to cut this music off. You still got the music playing.
Oh, got you. We're going to see who is going to make the roster to compete for the Super Bowl that we all anticipate the Bills playing for this season. So with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and start, obviously, with the offense and just go from the top down, starting with quarterbacks. Obviously, got a couple of quarterbacks that are here. Josh is a lock, Trubisky, Anthony Brown, as well as Ben DiNucci. What are your thoughts on there? Do they keep two? Do they keep three? Which ones do they keep?
Well, they're going to keep two. But the NFL rules, allows them, I think, to keep three now. But we know the top two is Mitch Trubisky and, obviously Josh Allen. If it was up to me as far as competition-wise for that three spot, I know DiNucci probably played a quarter more than Anthony Brown. But I like what I saw out of Anthony Brown yesterday. And when you look at his overall stats, for him to just be thrown in the fire the way he was, that says a lot for the way that he went out and performed. Not only did he, put up a 102 passer rating, but, he was 11 for 12. He was very efficient, with throwing the ball and 100 yards. And he made better decisions to me with the football. DiNucci, yesterday, he ran the offense quite well, but it was some blunders at times. He missed Terrell Shavers wide open in the end zone yesterday. That could have been an easy score. He threw across his body a couple of times where it could have, got picked off. So he was putting the ball in harm's way a little bit, to the point where Anthony Brown, he wasn't trying to force things. If something that he couldn't make, he made up with it with his legs. So me personally, if anybody was to be that QB3 or that practice squad slot, it to me would be Anthony Brown as far as the quarterbacks go. So yeah, you got Josh Allen, you got Trubisky. A third of me will be Anthony Brown.
Yeah, I was impressed with not only that, but I feel like he was fairly accurate yesterday as well.
10 for 12. It was 10 for 12 with 102 passer rating yesterday.
Yeah, he was able to get the ball where he wanted it to go. Ben DiNucci seemed a little flustered, and DiNucci has been here for longer and he seemed more flustered than Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown may have picked gets the threes or whatever the case may be, but with that limited knowledge of the playbook and your teammates, and to still be out there going put on a good showing, I do think that for me personally, and I guess for you as well, I would personally put Anthony Brown over Ben DiNucci if they wanted to keep three or potentially have a practice squad player there. All right, let's go ahead and go to the running backs. Now, this is going to be a tough one because we got five running backs if you include Reggie Gilliam. So we got 5 running backs. They'll probably keep 4, but all 5 are ballers, really. I mean,
Yeah.
they got 6. They got 6 ballers because I forgot about Ty Johnson. We got James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, Darrynton Evans, Reggie Gilliam, and then, of course, Frank Gore Jr., who had a phenomenal game yesterday. I also thought Darrynton Evans played really, really well yesterday. What are your thoughts on the running back and what that might look like this season?
As far as what the running back situation is going to look like, I think they keep 4. That's including Reggie Gilliam. So, my 3 guys would be James Cook, Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson. Due to the fact that, they have familiarity with the playbook. Ray Davis was a high draft pick. He's basically backing up James Cook in that regard. So those 3 with Reggie Gilliam makes 4. Now, Darrynton Evans and obviously Frank Gore Jr. Definitely had some, phenomenal camps. Gore rushing over 100 yards. So, I'm for sure to know that, Frank Gore will be back on the practice squad. They probably allow Darrynton Evans to test the market to see what's happening, but, he can come back as well. But Frank Gore is definitely going to be, here in Buffalo because he's the development project, right? So, I like how Brandon Beane and Coach McDermott made it really all about him this preseason when it came to the running backs, and that more or less for Ray Davis. Ray Davis showed us in the Pittsburgh game what he's able to do. He flashed as he should, but I love how the Bills really made it about Frank Gore and his development during this preseason. So he definitely showed up yesterday with 100-yard rushing day. And Frank Gore Sr. was quite appreciative. He told me yesterday that he loved what Buffalo has to offer, and he think that it's a perfect fit for his son, just for as far as atmosphere, how he's going to be developed as an NFL professional. So, he said, he could have went to San Fran. San Fran was one of the first teams that contacted him once the draft was over. But, during his time here in Buffalo, he really believed that, this was the perfect fit for his son, having that experience in San Fran and as well as in Buffalo. So we're definitely going to see Frank Gore on that practice squad for sure.
See, the only thing that worries me is I think with the way he performed yesterday and the name recognition, I feel like he might get swiped up. I feel like Darrynton Evans might be a little lesser name, only just because of who Frank Gore's father is. But I feel like he might be able to sneak onto the practice squad and maybe go unnoticed. But I think Frank Gore definitely getting snatched up if he get waived. So I guess we'll have to see. But he had an extremely good day yesterday. Ran for over 100 yards, about 6 yards a carry. Made the most out of every attempt. And he made a name for himself. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, they picked the final 53.
Leading the team in rushing as a total, 33 attempts, 163 yards. That's 5 yards a crack, in preseason, so, and with a score. So he definitely had a solid preseason. And, man, hopefully we keep our pinkies crossed that he don't get snatched up by any other bar club. But, yeah, those are my 4 due to the familiarity of the scheme and how Ray Davis, how he was picked. So he was automatic to make this squad. So that's how it is, the nature of the business of the game. Let's keep our pinkies crossed that Frank Gore could remain with the team.
Yeah, and the Bills have a history of doing this. They like to take a high-ish running back and then kind of use them for the next 2-3 years. They did it with Singletary. Now they did it with Cook. They did it with Zach Moss. So this is just their MO, and they'll probably continue to do this as well. Next up is maybe the most volatile position, definitely the most volatile position on the offense. This one is an absolute up-in-the-air wild card. There's a lot of guys who did really well yesterday. A lot of talent, and then there's a lot of guys who probably let the opportunity slip through their fingers and gave opportunities to other people. So if you didn't know already, I'm talking about the wide receivers, a couple of wide receivers. We got, obviously, your locks are Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel. And after that, I don't know if I can say another lock, maybe Mac Hollins. But you got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, KJ Hamler, Andy Isabella, Justin Shorter, Tyrell Shavers, Damiere Byrd, Deion Kane, who had a really good game yesterday, looked really good, looked like Sammy Watkins. Xavier Johnson as well. What are you thinking at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, it is tough. And guys, really played well. When you look at first we were saying this makeup of this wide receiver room was like, damn, it's going to be 6 or 7 guys, that the Bills are going to keep. Right now, it's either 5 or 6. The way this linebacker, battle came out to be, the way this O-line battle came out to be, kind of like really knocked this Bills receiver room down a bit. So I'll say 5 receivers that the Bills will keep. Obviously, like you mentioned, Shakur, Coleman, Samuel, Hollins for sure. That's the 4. You got Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Will be 5. I said they're gonna go 6. I said the Bills keep 6 receivers.
Okay, that makes sense.
Tyrell Shavers. Shavers have made this team. If there's anybody who earned a spot on this roster, it was definitely Tyrell Shavers. I mean, kind of like a dark horse coming in. Everyone knew of the potential, with him being on the practice squad last year, him with Justin Shorter. It would really boil down to, who would emerge out of those two. And right now, Tyrell Shavers has emerged, have a phenomenal training camp, and it translated to the preseason. So you got to throw him in there, especially with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, neck injury. Not sure if he's going to be ready to go, on week 1. So definitely Tyrell Shavers has made the squad. Justin Shorter. KJ Hamler had a phenomenal camp as well, but it's just a numbers game with him. If we can push the pot, he will definitely be the next guy in, because of his return, specialties with punts and kicks. But, right now it's just so loaded. And, with that injury to MVS, next man up as far as the measurables, who fits the scheme. And again, Shavers played all over the place. He played at big slot. He played on the outside. He played at the 2. So, he's a little bit more versatile. And, he's 6'6". So, definitely Tyrell Shavers is making the roster. But KJ Hamler and Justin Shorter will be your practice squad guys. And it's tough because Xavier Johnson, you got Xavier Johnson and Deion Kane definitely look like Sammy Watkins out there.
He did.
So, but they never gave Sammy Watkins a stand-up like that. Just imagine if they would have, Sammy Watkins made a living off that, and the Bills never threw him stand-ups. They threw it to Chris Hogan.
Big and strong and fast.
They threw it to Chris Hogan. You know that, right? It was Robert Woods and Sammy Watkins blocking for Chris Hogan on stand-ups. You got USC all-time leading receiver. You got this top 5 receiver coming out of Clemson who just torched Ohio State off stand-ups, like 200 yards off stand-ups in the Orange Bowl, and we never threw a stand-up to Sammy. So I had kind of like a flashback right there. So now that practice squad is going to be tough to see who's even going to make the practice squad. I mean, if the Bills can hold 4, we're not even talking about Andy Isabella for crying.
Yeah. I see the way.
But you hear me?
Oh yeah. You cut out for a second. I thought
phone lines ringing, man. Everybody wanted to find some scoops and some information of what's going on. Everybody want to talk to me about yesterday. I got people from Carolina calling in. I got people from all over. But we are here, Bill's World. And we chopping it up, projecting our 53 right now. So again, just to follow back with the wide receivers, man. Practice squad, KJ Hamler for sure. Deion Kane, Xavier Johnson, and Shorter still developing there. So we'll have to see, who how many receivers the Bills keep on this practice squad. But that's my 6.
See, I have a slight amendment in what I think is going to happen. I do think KJ Hamler is going to make the roster, and I think he's going to make the roster as kind of like an alternate Curtis Samuel, because just by looking at the way they were using KJ Hamler, you can kind of see how they might want to use Curtis Samuel in the running back position, slot, screen, you know what I mean? Like just a Swiss Army knife. And I feel like he could kind of be like a secondary version of that. And the more I look at this wide receiver room, the more comfortable I get, especially when you consider what Josh Allen had in his second season. John Brown and Cole Beasley and Dawson Knox. and he still performed very well. Khalil Shakir is at least as good as John Brown. Keon Coleman is a wild card. Curtis Samuel is probably better than Cole Beasley. Getting open, we'll see what that is. But as far as just the overall football player, he's probably better. And then the tight end situation looks a lot better. The running game looks a lot better. The more I look at this wide receiver room, the more comfortable I get with the idea of going into the season with these guys. I feel like they can make a lot of noise. I see a number one season coming from Shakir. I mean, over 100 catches, over a band. I do think that Shakir can take that next step this year. So we'll see what happens there. There's your wide receivers. Coach says they keep 6.
So we keep 6.
And we'll see. I agree. Justin Shorter, Deion Kane, probably going to be your practice squad players. I do think Tyrell Shavers has done enough to make this roster. So we'll see what the Bills actually do on Tuesday. Tight end it's actually not all that easy because there is a guy who is fighting for a spot and he is making a name for himself. Tight ends is, of course, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox are roster locks. Quentin Morris, Trey McKitty, and Zach Davidson, who looked extremely good yesterday. What's your thoughts on the tight ends?
Well, I mean, we've been waiting for this 12 personnel for about 3 years now. And I think we finally got it. And, it's a possibility the Bills can keep 4. It's a possibility that the Bills can keep 4. Right now, my 3 would be obviously Kincaid and Knox. And, definitely Zach Davidson has pushed, Quentin Morris. But Quentin Morris is a little bit more versatile than Zach Davidson. Obviously, he made the roster last year, so I don't see where Davidson miraculously beat Q out. Only thing I would see where the Bills are keeping or is Davidson making this roster is Quentin Morris will be probably day-to-day with the shoulder injury again. So, that will be a next man up. But I'm thinking that, it's going to be those 3, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Quentin Morris, with Trey McKitty and Davidson on the practice squad. And, either one of those guys can be moved up, in the event that, Q can't go as the 3rd tight end versus Arizona.
Yeah. I think Zach Davidson is probably going to make this roster. I do. He's a fresh, just ball of energy, fresh face in there out there making plays. I could see them favoring him and for him to make the roster. Not only make the roster, but I feel like he might get on the field a little bit this season. We'll see what happens, but hey, man, I like.
I mean, let's say 4. I mean,
I think 4.
It could be 4. So let's say 4 right now, because when we're looking at the total right now on offense, we ain't got to the line. So let's tally up when we do that. So we got 4 tight ends. Davidson makes this roster, 4 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, and 6 wide receivers.
So far we're at 12.
Yeah, no, right now we're at 16. 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 6 receivers, and 4 tight ends. So right now we're at 16. So you might as well say 26 because the Bills are going to keep 10 line.
Yeah.
So that's 26. So that's half your roster right there. So that's 26. Davidson makes this squad.
All right, so let's go over the offensive line real quick because I got to say, as a Bills fan, especially during the early McDermott years, before like Aaron Cromer and all that stuff, our run game was not good. Our offensive line was never good. But now you look at our offensive line and coach, this is some talent. And not only is it some talent, but it's some talent in depth wise. Like we have a lot of depth in the offensive line. So let's just go through the starters. Who there are the listed starters. Deion Dawkins at your left tackle. David Edwards at your left guard. Connor McGovern at center. Right guard is Cyrus O'Torrance. Rookie standout, going to probably even be better his second season. And of course, at right tackle, you got Spencer Brown, who took a little while to get his footing, but looks like he could be a serviceable tackle in this league now, and is a behemoth of a man. So you got him next to Osiris Torrance. That's just a huge wall over there on the right side. And then to back those guys up, you got Richard Garage, Alec Anderson, Will Clapp, Leo Collins, Ryan Vandermark, and then Cedric Van Pran Granger. Like just a ton of talent there on the offensive line, not to mention Tommy Doyle. What are your thoughts on the offensive line? Who makes this roster?
Well, I did say that the Bills are going to be, they're going to have 10 guys. So let's say, I mean, obviously we know that the usual suspects, like you mentioned, D-Dog, Edwards, Connor, Osiris, and Spencer. Um, Ryan Vandermark is going to make this squad. Alec Anderson, he's a dog. He's been a dog our training camp long. He makes this roster. Um, uh, Cedric Van Pran Granger, he makes this roster. Another guy that people isn't talking about is Tylen Grable, the seventh round pick from out of UCF. He's been having I mean, didn't flash too much, during training camp, but preseason definitely, you know, stood out. He definitely stood out. And I watched him carefully yesterday, and man, he is a steal in the seventh round. So you got Tyler Grable there, and obviously you do need some veteran guys like Al Collins will make this roster, rounding out five. Richard Garage and Keaton Bills, I think will make this practice squad, to go along with Travis Creighton. He's on the pathway program, so the Bills look up with that roster spot there. So, maybe a Will Clapp, but for sure, Garage and Keaton Bills will definitely round out the line on as far as practice squad. But that's my five there. You got Ryan Vandermark, Alec Anderson, Lyle Collins, Cedric Van Pran, and Tylen Grable will be your second five linemen. So 26. Let's say the Bills do go seven wide receivers. You know why? Because you just can't you gotta have more weapons available for Josh right now. You gotta have more. It's not like they know who the dogs were in years past where okay we got these five on lock. These guys is comfortable with Josh. These guys have rapport with Josh. That's not the case right now. So let's say seven. The Bills keep seven. KJ Hamler makes this roster. All right.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
now we got
without that, like you said, that camaraderie or the knowledge of who you got around you right now. It's a brand new set out there at wide receiver. So you want to give more guys an opportunity to be able to create some chemistry and make plays on this offense. So I have to agree there, especially since you got an extra spot there. Since we only had 26, you give that extra spot to wide receivers. I'm not mad at that.
So that's 27. So it's 26 spots available for defense.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So,
not even available.
Oh yeah, but special teams.
You got three special teams. Yep. So you got three special teams guys. So that takes the roster to 30. Once you add Bass, Martin, and Ferguson, that takes the roster to 30. So it's only 23 spots for defense.
Right. So let's see what we got then. All right.
We're gonna make our roster with just 23 defensive guy with Coach McDermott being the defensive coordinator, head coach. Let's see what's going to be the strong 23.
So let's start off with the defensive line then. All right. So we got our starters listed as Greg Rousseau, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, AJ Epinesa, of course. Dwayne Smoot at backup, Austin Johnson, Dwayne Carter, Von Miller, Kingsley Jonathan, Deshaun Williams, Eli Anko, Casey Toohill, Cameron Klein, Gable Stevenson, Branson Dean, Javon Solomon, and that's it. So a lot of talent there as well, a lot of depth. So the only problem with the defensive line is there's just not that one guy that can like be your, Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, that guy who can just go and clean stuff up. Hopefully Von Miller comes back healthy and is able to reprise that role. But for now, that's the one thing I feel like this defensive line is missing. But nonetheless, who makes this roster?
Let's start off the edge right now. You got Russo and you got Epinesa, right? That's two. That's going to be, there. You got Dwayne Smoot, who definitely showed his versatility because he can play inside as well. So he gives you that run stopping off the edge type of guy. So you got Dwayne Smoot, Rousseau, Ed Oliver, and Von Miller. Mm-hmm. All right. And I'm going to say Javon Solomon makes this roster.
Agreed.
All right. So that's 5 edge rushers there. When we go inside on the interior, you got DQ, you got Ed, you got Dwayne Carter and Austin. That's it. That's where I'm going to cut it off at. I think they're only going to go with 4 D tackles. All right. So that's your four: Austin Johnson, Dwayne Carter, Ed Oliver, and Daquan Jones. Due to the fact that guys like AJ Epineza and Dwayne Smoot, they can play inside as well. So that gives you that player flexibility. Two interiors, five edgers. So that's a total of nine. So now let's jump over the linebackers and let's go
The corners.
let's go to corners.
All right. So at cornerback right now, we have listed as starters Rasul Douglas, Christian Benford. Then your backups are Kyer Elam, Jamarcus Ingram. Then you got Kenny H. Lovely and Kyron Brown. No, I mean, of course, your nickel, Teron Johnson, Daquan Hardy, and Corey Couch, who actually had a really good game yesterday, Corey Couch. All right, who makes the roster here?
Well, let's just keep it all in one wow. You got Christian Benford, you got Taron Johnson, you got Rasul, Kyer Elam, Daquan Hardy, and Jamarcus Ingram. Let's just say six. Let's just say six right now. Okay, so six. That's six there.
So you got Corey Couch, Kyron Brown, and Kenny H. Lovely not making it and or being on the roster. Practice squad.
Kenny H. Lovely will make the practice squad, and Couch will make the practice squad.
Yeah, I agree with Couch.
Yeah, he was all over the place. I mean, so he's definitely going to make the squad. Me personally, I think he was Jamil Uday's handpicked because he came from Miami. And so I think, Couch is definitely going to be a practice squad player.
All right, before we go to safety, I just got a little slight deviation from regularly scheduled programming, and I have to ask you about Justin Simmons getting a contract recently. It was a contract that seemed like it would be plausible for the Bills to be able to go and get him, but instead he goes to another team. Is that something you wish Burnaby would have pulled the trigger on, or are we good with the safeties that we have?
They're good with the safeties that they got. And then, I mean, let's make no mistake about it. I'm quite sure the Bills brass has spoken with Justin Simmons. And, it sounds great. Is he a scheme fit? Yes. But, at the end of the day, it all boils down to the money. And you see, him getting 1 year, $8 million in Atlanta, let you know where the Bills were with that. The Bills are not going to pay $8 million for Justin Simmons to come in for 1 year. I mean, the Bills have been there and done that. Not to say that, it's just probably bad timing on where they are spending wise with their money. They only have $10 to $11 million to put all of that into one player. It's just not feasible, for the franchise at the time. So that just what it boils down to, how much money, because those guys at the end of the day, yeah, it's good to be competing for Super Bowls and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, money talks. So
since we're here, I forgot this happened earlier, but just to kind of go back, since we're talking about Bills getting outside help, Jahan Dotson was also traded, and it was something. There's like a couple third-round picks, and then they sent the seventh back. Is that something you wish the Bills would have did?
Nah.
Because I feel like Jahan Dotson would kind of just be mixed up in the group that we already have. We don't.
Yeah, but it all boils down to money. You got to be mindful. If Jahan Dotson come here, he thrives. His contract is up. You're not going to pay him $25 million. The Bills have to, go a cheaper route. That's what they're doing. Obviously, you drafted, a guy like Keon Coleman, and you don't have. You just got rid of paying Stephon Diggs $20 million. So they're not about to jump back in the wide receiver budget. And go and do that. Like, they're going to wait these next 4 years, with Keon Coleman and his rookie contract. You still got Curtis Samuel here making $8 million, and that's it. If the Bills going to probably go get a Terrence Marshall maybe next year, or Terrence Marshall get released, they can snatch him, or go draft you another wide receiver next year. So the Bills are going to do more with less at that position. So any type of blockbuster trades regarding the guy whose contract is up pretty soon at a skill position, don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I have to agree. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't kill Brandon Beane for not bringing one of these guys. We are obviously in that
Right, he
tight
just cleared
cap
us up
situation.
30 million. So
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
everybody was scratching their head with the 31 million cap space. We're at zero right now. And we're moving forward with a new team. Well, the Bills are moving forward with a new team, so they're at zero. And then next year they're going to have more money to play around with. So yeah, they can
Next
say,
year,
"Hey, Justin, come play for this 8 million. We got it. We can afford it now."
right.
So right now the Bills just can't afford it. So trust the process and remain patient when it comes to that.
Agreed. And we'll talk about something else when we get to linebackers. But for now, let's go ahead and cover the safeties. As your starters, you got Taylor Rapp and Damar Hamlin. Injury to rookie Cole Bishop. Cam Lewis is also back there. Kareem Jackson, injury to Mike Edwards, but he's there as well. Terrell Burgess and Kendall Williamson round out the safeties. What's the roster going to look like?
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna take Jamarcus Ingram off.
Oh, you taking them off the corners?
I'm taking him off the
You
corners.
pulling them? Okay, I was going to ask you about that, but I was going to go to
I'm pulling Ingram.
Okay.
I'm pulling Ingram.
Okay.
So right now the Bills have. Now we said we did all corners. We did Terran Johnson, we did Rasul, and we did Benford. The next group is Elam, and I'm gonna say Hardy makes that. That's your 5 safeties. The Bills are going to go with Hamlin, Rapp, Cam Lewis, Cole Bishop, and Mike Edwards. That's 5 there. But one out or 2 out of these 3 guys may end up on IR, for the week. So that's the tough caveat of that, So
I
it's
can
gonna
see
be pretty
Cole Bishop
interesting.
maybe. I don't think it will work so much with Mike Edwards, only because this was his first year in the system anyway. Cole Bishop, you have equity in, you already put value into that pick. That's a second round. He's almost as good of a pick as Keon Coleman. They're both second round picks, and Coleman wasn't a first round pick; it was just our first pick.
But you got Damar Hamlin, who's nursing a hamstring. You got Cole Bishop who's dealing with his shoulder, and you got Mike
The only
Edwards.
thing about Damar Hamlin is I feel like because Damar Hamlin has been here, the Bills love guys who know this game. So I feel like they would want him to be there. They would be comfortable with him, in the secondary. Cole Bishop, I don't know if this is true, but there were reports that he was not having the easiest time in camp. And so, if he still needs a little bit of time to develop, being a rookie, you could redshirt him potentially. Mike Edwards, I don't really know if that works the same way because he's a veteran. He's a champion. Like, I don't know if he would just be the guy who you would sit on for a season.
Well, I'm not sure how many IR spots or PUP spots the Bills have, and I'm quite sure they're going to use it more or less on this defensive end because this is where they really banged up at.
Javon Solomon.
So no, I don't see it on Javon Solomon. I think he makes the roster, but when you look at Damar Hamlin with the hamstring, if the Bills had to play next week, who would really be able to go? So Mike Edwards, we haven't seen him all training camp, all preseason long. Maybe he's a guy that would fit that mode to go on IR, and then you bring one of these other guys up, but. Right now, I mean, as far as a roster spot, it's kind of light. We ain't even got to these linebackers, so we got to figure out how that's going to shake out. But right now, Hamlin, Rapp, Cam Lewis, Cole Bishop, Mike Edwards, one of the 2 will probably go on IR to create a roster spot for someone. So we have to dive into these linebackers and see how this.
Real quick, let's just round out the special teams real quick. Of course, we got Tyler Bass, Sam Martin. Right now, yes, and Reed Ferguson at long snapper. Right now, your starting punt return and kick return per the depth chart is KJ Hamler with Daquan Hardy, at your second string, Andy Isabella at 3rd, Ty Johnson at 4th. I feel like that may lend to KJ potentially making this team. So there's that. Now let's get into linebackers. Oof. Linebacker it's a really interesting position, Luke, because you lose your first round pick, who's this young stud. He's got crazy length and potential and all that. You just give him away. You don't get anything back for it. Look like, hey, you might be struggling. And then out of nowhere comes your mid-round pick who turns into an absolute stud. And then you lose your all-pro for the season. Doesn't matter because you got Terrell Dodson, who comes and plays like a stud, right?
Terrell Bernard.
No, I'm talking about Terrell Dotson. Well, Terrell Bernard is the one I was talking about. He played like a stud. But Terrell Dotson came in, filled in, played good, got himself a contract to go elsewhere, right? And now you in a position again where Milano's injured again, and you're gonna need guys to fill in the holes there. So the guys you have there to fill in said holes is going to be Dorian Williams, Terrell Bernard, Nicholas Moreau, Deion Jones, Balen Spector, Idufuwan Olafashio. I'm so sorry if I messed that up.
It's close. Ulu
Okay, there you go.
Ulu
Shane Simon, and of course the kid out of Lancaster, Buffalo Joe, and then Matt Milano obviously is injured. But what's our linebacking core going to look like this season, Coach?
Man, it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna say Dorian Williams, Terrell Bernard obviously is lax. I haven't really seen too much on
Morrow.
Morrow. You know, I haven't seen too much on Morrow. Let me.
He's listed as a starter right now at the.
Yeah, but
Sam.
I mean, did he play any preseason games?
No, I didn't see Ty Johnson out there in the preseason. To be fair,
We know, but that ain't to be fair. Ty Johnson was on the roster last year. We know what he's capable of. He's already shown, what he can do. I'm more or less talking about on the defensive side. I don't see Morrow, on the stat sheet. What I can tell you is, I mean, you got Deion Jones who was second on the team in tackles, in preseason. So I would go Dorian Williams, Terrell Bernard, Deion Jones.
and you talking about starters or just to make the roster? Because they have
Just to
Nicholas
make the
Morrow
roster.
as the starter. Okay, gotcha.
Just to make the roster. I mean, you have to put Deion Jones to be your Sam in that regard.
Yeah.
Balen Spector, special teams guy, but he's injury prone. Does he make this roster? Ulufoshio, being a rookie that he is it enough to make this roster? Buffalo Joe, what he did in preseason isn't enough to make this roster.
I think it is.
So it's going to be tough. And the Bills are in a tough spot at linebacker again because of the injury situation, right? So, I mean, damn, do you keep 5 because of that reason, or do you got to go just with a 4 and be stout as you can be? So I say Dorian Williams, Terrell Bernard. I say Deion Jones makes this roster. I do want to put Buffalo Joe in there, but it is a business, and he can afford to be picked up on the practice squad. I don't think that he's going to be. Well, I mean, hey, he started games, so maybe he's beating out the 5th round pick in Ulufushio. Then so be it. I mean, Balen Spector again is a wild card because the familiarity being on his roster and what he's able to contribute on special teams. Now, does Buffalo Joe beat out Spector? Would you rather go? Would you rather go with a guy who's flashed, who's flashed in preseason, and you can work with him at a cheaper price, as far as contract wise, rather than a guy who's on his contract year on his rookie deal? You know what I mean? If that make any sense, like we know that next year Spector probably is not going to make the squad, or the Bills are not going to bring Spector back, right? So what do you do? Do you move on now? For a guy that's younger and fairly cheaper, because he's an undrafted free agent. So that's the tough decisions that the Bills are going to have to make there. I mean, if everything is performance based, in my eyes, Buffalo Joe makes this team. All right, it'll be right now Dorian Williams, Terrell Bernard, Deion Jones, Joe Andreessen, and I'll say Eddie Ulufushio because of, again, you don't want to cut guys you draft. So Spector will be that practice squad guy with Matt Milano out on IR until week 10, possibly. So, if I got to go 4, let's just say 4 right now. That's the 4: Deion Jones, Buffalo Joe, Dorian Williams, and Terrell Bernard. Those are my 4 linebackers right there. So let's see.
So you don't have Nicholas Moreau making the roster?
Right now we got 4 D tackles, 4 linebackers. That's 8. 5 edgers. That's 13. 5 corners. 4 safeties. So that's your makeup right there. So we had 18, 13, 13 plus 9. That's 52. So we got a spot for one more guy. One more guy. So
Real
that's
quick, but before we get to that, there is a Rams player, a linebacker, Ernest Jones, the fourth, who is not a bad player. He is looking to seek a trade. Is that something that you would pull the trigger or look to pull the trigger on in your current
I would
prediction?
look. I would look into that. I would look into that. So right now we have 52 guys with a guy to be picked up from another team. That's what I'm thinking. The Bills are not really done shaking this roster up. So I'm quite sure they're going to be looking to see who's getting released from other teams. So right now you have 5 edgers, you have 4 D tackles, 4 linebackers. That's 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. 5 cornerbacks. That's 18 with 4 safeties. So that's 52 players. So there you go. That's the makeup of this roster with 27 guys on offense, coach being the team player, and only going 25 on defense with room to spare with a practice squad player, or another guy from another team to be named later. Ernest Jones, yeah, I would entertain every facet. And I'm quite sure Brandon Bean is looking at that right now on, who's out there that that's one man's trash is another man's treasure, right?
Absolutely.
So Bills cut their roster down to 52 guys, and they're going to pick up somebody that's going to fit their mold, whether it's at linebacker or somewhere else at a position on need, maybe a safety. Another safety gets released. I think Kareem Jackson will make this practice squad because he's a 15-year veteran, right? So he's a guy that will be back on the practice squad. Kenny H. Lovely will be on the practice squad. Kingsley Jonathan will be back on the practice squad. Casey Tuill, who had a phenomenal preseason as well. I don't know. He could be a surprise to make this roster. Tuill is. Cameron Klein, he'll be back as a practice squad guy. And Gable Stevenson, obviously, the development project there. The former Olympian
Oh,
wrestler,
yes,
yeah,
sir.
who had a great run. I'm quite sure that Coach McDermott has loved what has been able to develop in him thus far. So they want to continue the process with him and bring him in gradually on the practice squad. So right now the Bills hold 52 guys. Jamarcus Ingram will be on the practice squad. Yeah, so that's was the shave. But again, 27 guys on offense and 25 on defense. That would really shake out your roster when you add all the special team guys up in there. So,
All right. So real quick, before we get out of here, I do want to ask you, like, just overall roster, what is the strongest unit of the roster, excluding quarterback? Because I feel like that's a little bit of a cheat code. We have the best quarterback in the league, and really, you hopefully only need to play one quarterback a season. So excluding quarterback, what is the strongest and the weakest uh, roster positions we have?
well,
Just groups.
the strongest is up front on both sides.
Okay.
I think we're strong up front because of the veteran leadership we have on the offensive side with Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, David Edwards. He played a lot because he was the extra tackle last year. But to move him inside to guard, that's a mammoth left side. Osiris Torrance in the second year, I don't see him having any type of sophomore slump. And then again, Spencer Brown is in his contract year. And I'm quite sure the Bills he's going to be probably the first extension off the rip. When you look at that on the flip side, Greg Rousseau, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, AJ Epineza, that core has been together for the past 3 years. So that leadership up front and that trust factor is there, with those core guys. You bring in a Von Miller in passing yard situation, rookie Dwayne Carter, Austin Jones, and Dwayne Smith. Smoot will round off, that veteran leadership, with a stud rookie in Dwayne Carter. So, up front on both sides of the ball, with the quality depth, I think is, the Bills' strong suit. And we all know that this game is won up front, right? The weakest I would still have to say is linebacker and safety, right? Again, another big blow. Matt Milano is not going to be able to join the party until late in the season again. So Dorian Williams, I have to grow up quick. Terrell Bernard, we all thought that, will he be ready and replacing Tremaine Edmonds? He definitely passed that test. So, his third year in, his junior season in the NFL, we expected him to be Matt Milano. Turn into, Matt Milano. Terrell Bernard should have an all-pro year this year. I do believe that. If he stay healthy, he has an all-pro year, and I think Dorian Williams would excel as well. But as far as that goes, you do have, Deion Jones. You need that veteran guy still behind, your lightly seasoned, younger guy. So you got to have some type of veteran presence back there. Deion Jones and Nicholas Monroe, fits that mold until a guy like Matt Milano returns. So then you look at it from the safety aspect, right? When you look at it from the safety aspect, Damar Hamlin, Cole Bishop, Mike Edwards, all three of your free safeties are coming in nicked up. So does Cam Lewis start at free safety if the season starts today? So that's where I say is the weak point. So if it's a spot that's available from another ball club releasing a player, I'm quite sure the Bills are definitely going to key in on safety and linebacker, to see if they can bring in a more polished guy. A surprise cut from a team. Again, one man's trash is the Bills' trash.
Absolutely. I do want to say honorable mention for the running back room. I do think that running back room is special. And I want to see a little bit more from the defensive line this season. I would like to see them get some pressure, be able to hold down the run game a little bit better this season. We'll see. Obviously, you got Greg Rousseau with another year of experience, AJ Epinesa with another year of experience, Ed Oliver, the whole game down there. Like, obviously, they have talent. It's just that a lot of times, not a lot, sometimes they get taken advantage of, and I would like to see them shore that up in order to become like a dominant defensive line. So yeah, there's that. But hey, all right, a nice little roster.
Everything is just new. That's the thing about it. It's like, we're expecting, what we've been used to seeing. Bills Mafia is expecting what, they've been used to seeing. And right now it's going to be a process because everything is kind of new all over again. Other than, your starting core, everybody else is new. But I do believe defensively, when we didn't have Dwayne Smoot in the rotation last year, he kind of replaces Shaq Lawson, right? Von Miller is the situational pass rusher. So Epinesa was definitely having a breakout year last year. So you get him more snaps with Greg Rousseau. Again, AJ Epinesa and Greg Rousseau were top. Where them, it was Chase Young at 1. No, I'll take that back. Rousseau was at 1. Chase Young was at 2, and Epinesa was at 3, coming out of college as top sack getters, in college football. The Bills have 2 out of the 3, starting for them on that edge with Ed Oliver, who was a dog at Houston, and Daquan Jones, who was a dog at Penn State. And then now you bring in Austin Johnson, who was at Penn State. You bring a dog, Dwayne Carter, backing those guys up. And Dwayne Smoot, he could play inside out as well. And then, come on, man. Von Miller, anything he brings to the table this year will be a bonus. And I think he's going to have his best season as a Bill. And, that's going to, where the experience and the knowledge is really going to lie is up front. It used to be with Poyer and Hyde on the back end. Now that knowledge and wisdom and that trust is going to be held up front, which is going to help your younger and experienced back end. And let's not forget, we got Rasul, Kyer Elam, and Benford, playing corner, and Tyron Johnson now. So ain't no slouches, back there on the back end. It's just that, the big question mark replacing 2 All-Pros and Poyer and Hyde. How would that fare? And will teams go at that early and often to exploit and check those guys' temperature to see if they up to par and regarding our safety? So, again, that's just the biggest weakness I see, on this Bills roster.
Yeah, I have to agree. There. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know y'all missed us. We're going to be back. We're going to be back weekly now, right? And we'll be back next week to talk to you guys about who actually made the team. Oh, this week. I'm sorry. We'll
Yeah,
see you
cut
guys.
down Tuesday. Cut
Yeah,
down
Tuesday.
Tuesday. You may see some as early as today, for sure tomorrow. But yeah, you know, that's going to be happening. And keep your eye out for any other surprise cuts in the NFL that you know,
The
Bills
Bills
Mafia
may
feel
look at.
that right, that the Bills may look at. So, you know, we'll keep an eye out on that, you know, as well. But that's our 53. You know, this is the makeup. We do believe that, you know, the Bills are going to stack more weapons with Josh. You just really can't have a clear cut finger on just 5 guys with Josh. So that's where KJ, you know, makes this roster, and Scanlon with Tyrell Savers. You know, I think Scanlon goes on IR. That would allow KJ Hamler to bleed more free, and Shavers as well. Then you can bring him back when he's healthy. Neck injuries, you know, is not to be rushed for sure. So if it's any degree of it, I'm quite sure that MVS is going to probably be placed on IR for at least 4 weeks or whatever the case. And, you know, that's where Hamler and Shavers will thrive at in the rotation.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, I think we could do without MVS personally. I think we got a lot of talent at the wide receiver position and give guys opportunity. So we'll see what happens.
If it wasn't for his guaranteed money, then, you know, it could be a casualty. That's true. You know, he sticks on the roster, you know, definitely because he could be a piece down the line. And I think that's what the Bills really brought MVS in for, a piece down the line. You know what I mean? You have that, you know, coming from Kansas City. So, you know, he's a piece that the Bills are probably going to exploit somewhere down the line. So I iron for Valdez Scantling, you know, that could be, I guess, a bold prediction.
Yes, okay. We'll see. All right, guys, make sure you guys tune into Bills World all year for your latest news in Buffalo Bills content, just kind of NFL content. We'll be all over the league talking about it all. Player interviews, we got y'all covered this year all over the place. So make sure you guys tune in. We'll be back later this week to talk about who makes the 53-man roster, any surprise cuts, any surprise signings. Also, we'll be back later this week for season expectations, you know, what we predict to happen. So we'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys know we appreciate every like, comment, subscription, repost, retweet. All the love you guys show is very much appreciated. So keep it up. This is the official network of the original Bills Mafia, and we are out.
That's right. You can check us Waffle Sports Live beginning September 1st, I think. First Sunday in September. We live back on radio. Vacation's over. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. See y'all later. Go Bills.
Team and that's for real. Oh, you said something. When they kick off, he gon' kneel. I don't wanna hear none if it ain't about the Bills. We'll be running out the tunnel, better stay up on your heels. We might leave your ankles on the field, put you on the rail. How you feel? Feel the watch the sweep just like a broom. Hail Mary and put his GM in a tomb. Make some room, call it timeout, cause they not ready. Think they feeling all the pressure, cause they know I apply it heavy. Try to cover one-on-one. Cause gon' be too early. Have him watching all that film while he's snuggling on his teddy. Man, who let me step up in the game with a mindset of making sure I'm heard. No point intended, it ain't time yet. When it is, I bet you know. Don't fix your legs to come around me if you acting all scary in the snow. Oh, you said